Hey, where are you from?
So I'm originally from a teeny little town called Cali, Nevada, which is a lot smaller than Parker. It's only about 1,100 people. But our base operations for Legacy Racing is there out of Las Vegas.
Okay, I want to go to Vegas. Because that's where the UFC's at.
Yes, sir.
You know, do you ever go to a UFC fight? Since you know,
I don't. Yeah. Racing keeps me pretty busy.
Let's
so
bring your microphone just up a little bit more. You get a deeper voice. Bring it up there. There you go. What?
Yeah, the racing keeps me pretty busy, so I don't get too much UFC fights.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, though, I mean, we're going to get into the racing thing, but let's get to know you just a tad. Where is this town that you were from?
So it's called Caliente, Nevada. It's 150 miles north and northeast of Las Vegas. So it's just a little teeny town on US 93 where there's no stoplights in town and just a really cool little town. So we had to ride a bus 15 miles to high school.
Wow.
Back, so.
Yeah. And what was the name again?
Caliente.
Oh, Caliente. I went through Caliente.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, if you blinked, you missed it, but it's pretty cool little town.
I liked it because I remember we were going through and I was super tired, super tired because we were hauling the horses and we were driving straight through. And so I'm driving bad because I'm so tired. You know when you're really tired and you're driving bad and you say that to yourself?
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm driving bad.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I'm tired.
Yeah.
That's when I went through there, and I thought to myself, and I thought, you know, I think I could live in this little town.
Yeah,
I remember saying that.
Yep, my parents still live there, and three of my brothers. So
but it gets cold.
It does. Yep, they're getting snow today.
Yeah, because it's high up. Because before we went into there, and I saw this big old elk on the road.
Right.
He was just massive, and I was tired, so he looked way bigger than anything else.
Yeah,
you know,
takes up all the lanes, everything on the highway. Yeah,
and he was just looking at me, and he stopped, and I had to stop. I mean, no, it's like 2 a.m, and no one's on the road. And
nope.
No, I'm telling you, and I'm like, I'm waiting for him to like say, "Well, move it," you know, or something like he's gonna say something to me because I'm like delirious driving, you know. Yeah, it was a railroad town, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The main line for Union Pacific goes right through the middle of Caliente.
Yeah, that's what formed that. It was a railroad. Yeah, yep. It's a pretty cool little town.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you get there and there's got that little Y, and you like truck route or I don't know, whatever. You go right to one kind takes you in town and one kind of skirts you around a little.
Yeah, it actually takes you over the railroad tracks to the business part of town. Most of the businesses are on that Y.
That's the one where I went.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because I stopped at it.
Okay.
I didn't know which one to take.
Right? A little confusing.
I know. I was like, no one's on the road. And like I said, I'm driving bad now anyway. And because I'm super tired. My partner, he's out like a light. And he stopped me and goes, "What's up?" I said, "I'm debating which way to go."
That's funny.
Yeah. That's a cool little town.
Yep.
You're right. It is small.
Very, very small.
Yeah. You know, if it didn't what's the elevation there? Do you know off the top of your head?
3,800 feet.
Yeah, because it does get chilly up there. That's a pool. Yeah, so you're from there, and because I know that was our last leg. And then you come off of there, and I don't know what 93 I think you said we were on. I couldn't tell you, man. And we drove down, and then we hit like a little gas station when we came off that mountain or something like that.
Yep. Just as you come into town, there's a shell on the left side.
Yeah. Took a break, walked around, and then we took I believe a left and headed towards Vegas. I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
It was a big experience.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, because that was like a 17-hour run, no sleep, pulling those horses. That wasn't that long ago either. Like a year ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, a little over a year, not much, but yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I won't do that again. I'd stop and sleep somewhere on the way.
Yeah, it's
okay. So you were born and raised there,
correct?
And 15 miles? So what town from there did you go to school?
So we went to Panaca, which is 15 miles north.
Okay, is that how do you spell that? Pinaca
is Panaca.
Oh, Panaca.
And the town you're thinking of is Pioche, which is another 11 miles.
Oh yeah.
And so all three towns would come together to go to high school in Panaca, high school and middle school.
Okay, there we go. And that. How big is that town? I know
They're all about the same. Caliente at one time was the biggest. I think Panaca might be a little bit bigger now,
Yeah.
but they're all about 1,000 people there. And so all three of us would join together to go to high school there. And then Pioche is a wild town. Like at one time it had way more bars than it had like any restaurants or anything. I think there was like 13 bars at one time, and there's some history there with Wyatt Earp and some some outrageous number, like 110 deaths before one was natural causes because it was so wild.
Really? Now again, was that a mining town or?
Yeah, Pioche is a mining town.
Okay, because when you said that all them bars, I figured it had to be mining.
Yeah.
So Caliente is a railroad spur.
Yep.
And then Panoche, how do you?
Panaca would be next if you're going north.
Panaca.
It's a farming community.
That's a farming community.
And then Pioche was a mining community.
Wow, that's a pretty neat little area, people. If you ever get a chance to drive up there, and years ago, some winter visitors they were going through there and gave me some literature, but I never thought I'd ever go through there. So it was jogging my memory when I was driving through there.
Yeah. And there's even, like you said, cool place to go visit. There's 5 state parks, all within 30 miles. So right there in the middle of the Great Basin Highway, and it's just like you say, pretty cool area to go visit.
Now, we went, now further north, I don't know if it was in Idaho or something, but there was a town called Lucky or something, maybe not. Maybe that
was. Well, there's Lovelock that's up there ways.
Is there a casino? They have some casinos?
That's Nevada. There's casinos everywhere.
Yeah. One of them did, yeah. And I thought it kind of reminded me of a small Laughlin, but way smaller when we drove through that one.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is pretty cool stuff because I've never been that route before.
Right.
So I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a pretty cool area. You have to say hi to your folks. Tell them I stumbled through there late one night.
I'll pass it along, yeah.
So, okay, then how did you get, okay, we grow up, we go to school there. What do you do after when you're done with school?
So I was working at a Ford dealership. There's a little small sub dealership there in town. We sold bikes and quads, dirt bikes, quads, stuff like that.
Do you have a favorite dirt bike?
Yeah, I ride dirt bikes all the time. Yeah. I'm currently switching from one brand to the other, but right now my boys ride Beta dirt bikes, and then I have a Husky.
So, okay, I'm familiar with not the Beta. Not the Beta.
It's an Italian bike. It's a pretty awesome bike.
But obviously you're mechanically inclined then.
Yes, sir.
Because if I owned a Beta, this is what I would be saying. No, because I don't know where I would get it serviced and who would work on it. That would be my.
Well, ironically, and I think it's still there, but there's a Beta dealer in Bouse. A guy has a little Beta dealership out of his garage. So,
no way.
Yeah.
And I live in Bouse.
Okay, well, I'm surprised you don't know him.
No.
So, but yeah, they're a cool bike. They're, like I say, from Italy.
Yeah.
And readily available parts. It's a fun trail bike and stuff. And they just started racing Supercross for the first time. So a new manufacturer in Supercross, and they're got 2 bikes in the Supercross. So
and then Husky, that's a Husqvarna.
Husqvarna, yep.
Yeah,
so lots of history there.
Yeah, when I was growing up, when I was growing up, I rode an Elsinore.
Okay.
And I did a couple motocross races with it, and I was a thumper. I was a 4-stroke, and the YZ Yamaha came out and all that, and so they were all names, and I'm a thumper, I'm thumping it. But everyone wanted, or Hidaka. Remember Hidaka?
Okay. A little bit before my time, but yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, you are quite a bit younger.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, the Hidaka. Good Lord, when were you born? Out of curiosity.
I don't want to make you feel bad, but I just turned 21 last week.
Yeah, I'm not buying that.
You're not buying that?
No, I'm not buying 21. You did 13 years at the Besson Desert, so I don't think...
I guess my math isn't computing. I was born in the 80s, 1983.
Okay, in the 80s. Okay, see, my Elsinore was a 72.
Okay.
And I was running. Yeah. And had a power out kit put in it by a guy named Mark Florian. Well, he's long gone, but he was like the Honda genius, man. I mean, he was. Anyway, but Hidaka was a big bike when I was younger. But again, the reason you didn't buy Hidakas is because no one worked on them or nothing.
Right.
So we went either Honda or Yamaha. But everyone wanted a Husqvarna.
Yep.
Everybody did.
That was the dominator in the desert for sure.
Yeah, everybody kind of wanted one of those. So anyway, so you're riding a Husky now.
Yes, sir.
So you're riding what, a 450?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I kind of figured that. Look at your size and everything else goes on there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's way too much power for me, but I just gotta hang on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And your kids, how old are your kids?
Our oldest is 17.
That's pretty good for only being 21.
Yeah, I know, right? I started really early, and then our youngest, he's gonna be turning 11 this year. So yeah.
And they're riding betas.
Yep,
Yeah.
all of them pretty much right. So we got 4 kids.
Wow, got 4 kids.
Yep,
Are they all boys?
3 boys and 1 girl,
Yeah.
and she's a horse rider, so she would definitely be a fan of yours.
Yeah, I love horses. I got it. I'm thinking about picking up another one. I got it narrowed down to 22 horses.
Oh, that's it. Gotcha.
Yesterday I was going through my list, and he goes, "What do you got?" And that's my list of the ones I think I want.
Oh, there you go.
I told him, let me know when you're down to 5.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what she said. Let me know when you're down to 5, and we'll
get
go from there.
serious.
Yeah, we'll see on from there. And so you working at a dealership.
Yep.
And a Ford dealership, and then where'd you go from there?
So, just there was a trail ride that always came through our town called the Nevada 200 that Casey Folks was involved with. And because I was a dirt bike rider and stuff, I just asked, "Hey, can I help out?" So I started helping with the trail ride and stuff like that. And then there was races that were coming through our community, so we'd help with 1 race a year as a volunteer, go out there, run a checkpoint, help out whatever we could. With my dad and my brothers, there was 5 of us that would go out and help run
So
checkpoints.
your whole family's kind of into this off-road stuff then.
For sure. My dad's coming down. He goes anytime I go to an event, he's right there all week with us. Then my brothers come down when they can. They got full-time jobs, so they help out when they can. But definitely it's a full family atmosphere. My mom's right there alongside us, driving the truck and making sure we got meals and stuff.
Your gig, what you do in that, in just people there, it is like a cult. I mean, not a cult, but a way of life. I mean, you're committed to this.
Yeah. Being in the off-road racing and like the promoter side, it's a lot like let's say like a cowboy going rodeo to rodeo. He's on the road a lot, and just that's what your life kind of revolves around, is those events happening. So for sure, definitely not a cult, but definitely following. But
it's an off-road cult.
Yeah.
But
culture.
Yeah, culture.
Off-road culture.
Because I went to a rat rod show once in Vegas, and that group of people, that's their thing. I mean, they're committed to it. You could tell it's a kind of way of life.
Right.
And I'm always impressed when people pick a way of life like that and stay with it and commit to it. I'm always impressed with that.
Yeah.
And so you're doing some volunteering and stuff in that with Casey.
Yep.
And you're digging this, right?
Oh yeah, having a great time.
And did you think ever at that point in your life, and I don't know, you're pretty young probably yet, and first wasn't born yet, but on the way, and you were probably thinking, someday I would like to be a director of races. Did that ever cross your mind?
Oh, absolutely not.
Really?
The closest thing that came to it, ironically, is like 15 years old English class had a paper. What do you want to do for a living, for the rest of your life? And I wrote down that I wanted to race off-road, that I wanted to be a dirt bike racer, And so not even 5 years later, working at the dealership and helping out with these events, and the event was really muddy that year. A lot of guys broke down, so I went out and helped them, and just driving around with Casey Folks, and hey, who's going to take over when you decide to retire? Just kind of an oddball question I asked, and he goes, I don't know. And like 2 months later, he came back, offered me a job, and that was in 2004.
Wow.
And just kind of took off from there. So
you probably put the thought in his head. Maybe a little thought.
Maybe he was starting to go a little bit bigger. He'd started the cars and trucks in '96, and so
he started as a motorcycle guy.
Yes, exactly.
Right. We should clear that area.
Yeah. Yep. He'd been racing dirt bikes, since the early '70s.
He looks like a dirt guy, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You ever see the movie The Fastest Indian?
No.
You got to watch it, man.
Gotcha.
It's all about motorcycles.
Okay.
He took a little 120 and an 80cc or something from New Zealand. This guy did, and he set a land record at the Salt Lake Flats with it. He modified it.
Okay.
You got to watch it. I'm gonna write it down for you so you don't.
Okay, there you go.
Anthony Hopkins plays the guy. It's a fantastic story. It's called The World's Fastest Indian.
Okay.
Yeah. But before we leave, I have to We'll watch it on the air right now. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so and you put the bug in his head, and you said, "Hey, who's ever going to take over? When you retire?" And he's probably at the moment he probably said, "You're probably riding like in an F1 250 or something, driving down the road."
Right.
Yeah.
You nailed it. Exactly what it was, an F-250.
I'm in your head, man.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm right there.
Yeah.
And he probably thinks, Jesus, guys, I'm not ready to retire, but but he probably thought that. And then later on, he's going, yeah, this guy's really interested. He's probably having a cup of coffee or something. Saying, give him a call and see if he wants a job.
Well,
so we called you.
Well, I actually went a little bit step further because he had a house in Caliente. He had come up there and stayed quite a bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the next day he's like, he asked me to go on a dirt bike ride with him. We went up in the mountains, just did a fun little
and
ride.
What are you riding then?
KTM.
Okay.
So I had a 2-stroke 300.
Okay. All right.
So just went for a little cool dirt bike ride and had some fun,
And what's he riding?
I think he was riding an XR 400.
Okay.
Honda XR 400 at the
That
time.
was a thumper, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just had some fun rides, and then a couple months went by. I didn't think too much about it, and he came back and he talked to my parents first, which was really cool because he knew he was going to be taking me from this little teeny town to the big city, Las Vegas.
Ooh.
Yeah, right. So he very respectfully came and talked to my folks and said, "Hey, I want to offer your boy a job, but I want to make sure it's okay with you guys first." So that was a pretty cool deal. And then the next day, after my dad's like, "Well, yeah, absolutely."
Yeah, I was going to wonder
Right?
what the parents said. Yeah.
Yeah, so I get home from a trip, and my dad's like, "You got to go see Casey. You got to go see Casey." And I'm like, "Okay, just calm down. I just barely got home." "No, you got to go see him." So I go over to his house, and we're just sitting there. It was kind of the winter time, so it was cool, and sitting by the barbecue. And he's like, "Hey, would you like to come to work for me?" And my first answer is yes. I never asked, "Are you going to pay me or anything?" I'm just like, "Yeah, I'm coming to work for you."
How much do you have to pay you, Casey, to follow you around?
Yeah, kind of, exactly. But then, it kind of took off from there. So I started in September 2004, putting on.
Were you like having cheeseburgers with bacon?
For sure.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah. You're not American if you don't like cheeseburgers and bacon.
That's what I thought. You on the grill there. That's what I was picturing that. And then wow. So then in 2004. So you did, and then you worked for him for 13 years. What was the first gig? What did he have you do?
So the very first race, it was help start course marking, just learning how the way to do that is. He had a very specific way he liked it done, and so learning right from him and the people he'd been training at the time too. So just riding around on dirt bikes and laying out the routes. And then,
so how do you do that? Do you have a topical map, and then you look at it and you go, you kind of want to run this, run that, or run that? Is that, and then you go out and look at it itself?
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that, but you're kind of on the right page. Obviously all the routes have to be pre-approved by the BLM, and there's a big long process to that. But once you get the route
BLM government, so it's going to be a process.
Sure. Yeah, and so. Once you get through that process, then you have your route finalized, dialed in, and then you go start laying it out.
How do you decide what kind of route you want to run?
It just depends on what type of event you want to do. Are you doing a loop race where, like the Parker Dam 500 coming up is a 126-mile loop race? Right. How many pits you want? Like this race coming up is the 4 pits. Other races we do is point to point. The Baja Nevada this year is 650 miles.
The what?
It's called Baja Nevada.
Baja Nevada.
Yep, 650 miles point-to-point race.
Wow.
So that means it starts in one spot and it finishes in another spot, and it's all, you don't run the same terrain over.
You just, and so when they set a pit, like one here, does that pit guy move?
No,
because those guys
the race officials don't move, but the pit chase vehicles do.
They do. Okay, that's what I want.
Yep. So your guy will give you gas, and he'll drive down the road maybe 20 miles, but you're going to do 50 miles on the race course and then get there. So it gives a chance for the chase guy to get there before the race.
Because I was wondering how that works. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So it's like a race within a race. You got the race happening on the desert, and then you got the race on the highway to get from pit to pit to make it in time to service your guys.
Okay, so the first job, he's teaching you how to mark a course.
Yep.
Right.
Teach you how to mark a course, lay out all the pits, all the stuff to that.
And how is it by miles on the pit? Like.
Yeah, typically we try and keep the pit stops with under 50 miles, so the dirt bike and quad guys can make it on fuel.
Right.
So that's kind of the average.
Right.
So like the Parker race, I know there's no bikes and quads, but we have some stock UTVs and then the cars and trucks as well. But they're the first pit is 32 miles, second pit is 55 miles, third pit is 92 miles, and then the finish line's 126.
You're getting into there. So the quad people have, I mean, not the quad, but UTVs, they can go 150 miles, 150 miles?
On average, if they got a stock tank, they're like 50-mile range.
Right.
So they'll have to stop like at pit 1 and then probably make it to pit 3 at
Right.
midway and then stop at main pit and then back around to pit 1. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then your big cars and trucks, they're in the range of like 180 miles, so they'll stop one time for fuel.
And they're punching it too, man.
Oh yeah. We complain about our fuel prices, and they're paying $11-12 a gallon on the cheap side, and then they get 2 miles to the gallon. It's like, oh man, why are we complaining for?
You know, we sit around as people who are non racers or off roaders, but what we wouldn't give to just go in and drop the hammer just once. You know.
Oh, it's an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
You see them. You're 50 feet away. You can feel them. You can feel the ground rumbling. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Once you get that dirt in your veins, I say it never comes out, man. You're an off-roader for life.
And so then you do the first race with him.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to a race like this, how long are you there to set up, and then do you have a tear down? I mean,
Yeah. You have to clean up and leave it
Yeah.
typically better than you found it.
Yeah.
So
do you have like sweeper vehicles? Is that what it is, or what do you do?
yeah, yep. You have sweepers that go pick up all the course markings and all the debris left behind, the broken parts, whatnot. So how long you gone is usually about a week.
Yeah.
But like this event here, I'll be gone for almost 3 weeks by the time I come down, set up, clean up, do the road repairs, stuff like that. So it'll be like 3 weeks. Baja Nevada, same thing. It turns into a month because it's 650 miles long, and we will grade all those roads. And so we're not a bunch of hooligans just running across the desert like freelancing. It's all on existing routes.
You know, that's a big project.
Yeah.
I mean, it just sounds like a big project.
It's almost like riding a horse because you only get about 30 miles a day in a grader. So, you work 12, 14 hours and you've only made it 30 miles. It's kind of depressing.
Now, do you have your own equipment, or do you lease wherever you go?
Oh, we rent.
Yeah, that would be the way to go. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, they're a little spendy. So.
Yeah, and then toting it around. So you line it up ahead of time,
Right.
Wow. And do you have a guy that can grade, or do you have to bring in an operator?
So yes, you're looking at the guy that can grade.
Okay.
And I also have my good buddy Frank Brown, who comes in and helps me grade too.
Yeah.
So it's a county operator. He's just recently started his own business, but we grew up together racing and having fun. So he comes in and helps out quite a bit.
So obviously in the grading part, what was your first experience? I mean, did Casey say, "Hey, you're a grader"?
Kind of. He put me with a guy, and we were using a front loader, and we were grading these little loop races. And then when we started doing these more point to points, and then it started becoming more required to grade those roads, I just flat out told him, said, "There's no way I'm going 300 miles in a front loader, man. That's like riding a buck and bronco all day long."
Yeah.
Said, "I'm going to learn to run a blade."
Yeah.
So I called up the guy that does the transport, because I know they had one in their yard, Wordco BC, and I said, "Hey, can I come over there and drive your blade around the yard?" So I drove it in circles like 6 times, like figured out the levers, what they do, and told the guy, "Ship it up there. I'm going to go figure it out." And
Yeah. Was it an articulating one that had the 4 or 5 levers over there, or was it
4 or 5? There's 13 of them.
Okay, because I started on blading when I was a young man. I worked in the mines a lot, so I ran a lot of blading.
Yeah,
stuff.
so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they've changed so much now. I mean, I took a tour when I was back at the mines, and my God, I don't even recognize the new blades that they're running now.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. But you probably had some training in the mine, and it was the guy that trained me just knew how to lift the blade and put it on the trailer and set it down, because that's all they did was transport. So I had to figure out how to move dirt and all that type of stuff. So
way cool.
Yeah, it's been about a 14-year process of figuring that out.
I feel pretty confident now, don't you?
Pretty confident, yeah. It's just...
So not only you're like the owner, the director, and everything, you're the blader.
Yep. Well, and Liz Marshall also owns as an owner, and then my wife Christy as well. So
how did I know that?
You probably knew her from our Best in Desert days, because she was there from 2009 on,
And not only that, there's a nice photograph of the three of you guys on Parker.
Yeah. Yep. When we launched our business there,
Yeah. So
yeah,
there.
it's a cool photo.
And you're doing the first race with Casey, and you come home. You're gone for like a week
Yep.
or so. You come home. What do you say to your parents?
Oh, well, my dad was there, so that
he
was
was?
good. Yeah,
Oh,
so
he
we got
was
to
there.
share in the experience.
Oh,
Because as
okay.
soon as I became a full-time employee, he became a full-time volunteer.
Oh,
So he was at all the events going forward.
So what does he do for a living?
So he's now retired, but he used to work at a youth correctional facility there in Caliente.
Oh, really?
Yep. Juveniles that
Yeah.
would get into trouble, they'd send them to a youth correctional facility there. Not like a prison, didn't have fences or anything, had open doors on the buildings, but they'd kind of
He didn't have
Put 'em
like
through
a
a process.
chain gang and making rocks.
no, not that hardcore, you know. Just like
Probably
minor stuff, theft and stuff.
Teaching them a skill and how to be productive citizens in society.
Right. And seeing how you've been to Caliente, there was nowhere for him to run. It was 150 miles to Vegas, so you weren't making it on foot.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty good trek.
Yeah.
So,
And then he also owns a towing business too.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well that works.
So we called it his darn expensive hobby because it wasn't very profitable,
Yeah.
but it was a community service, and my little brother's now taking over that business there.
Really?
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, and so then you do the first one, then you do more, and then you do
Yeah.
more.
So it was crazy. We did the first one, and then the next week he sent me out on a 300-mile dirt bike ride. I'd never ridden over 50 miles in my life at a time, and he's like, "You got to go 300 miles and check this map."
And did you get lost?
Oh no, I don't get lost. You put me in the city, I get lost, but you put me in the desert, I'm at home.
You do pretty good.
Oh yeah, no problems there.
Wow. And that,
So-
you know, it's a long ways, 300.
Yeah, 300 miles in a day on a dirt bike.
That's insane.
was a feat, and then it was an XR 400. It wasn't a comfy dirt bike, not a big cruiser. It was just go.
Man. And in 300, you have to go.
Yeah, it was an all day, sun up, sundown, and just barely got in with this little candlelight flicker of a headlight.
Gotta tell you, he must have had some pretty good confidence in you to do that.
Looking back, I would say so. At first, I thought he was
Yeah.
nuts. I think he was trying to break me, but
Yeah.
he wasn't too successful there.
I think he saw something there that you would do that, because I wouldn't send somebody out that was fairly new in the gig for that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good. I did 600 and some miles once on a 750 Honda, traveling 600 some miles. It was cold too, and I vibrated when I finally got to a motel.
Right.
I mean, I was just vibrating. Even when I went to lay down, I was still vibrating.
Yep, for sure.
You know, so I can't imagine.
Yeah. Luckily on the dirt you stand up and move quite a bit, but
But,
yeah, you
man.
kind of get the same feeling.
Yeah, good Lord. So then more turned into more.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we really started to grow. We started doing some big events. We had a Nevada 1000 in 2005, a 4-day race.
Now, is this Casey's only gig? Is this what he's doing, or is he working on the side too?
No, this is his only
This is
gig.
gig. So
Yeah,
he has
exactly.
to make it work.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yep, he'd grown big enough that it was full-time, full steam
Right,
ahead.
Right.
So it just kept progressing, and then leading up, we got the Parker races in 2003. So the year before that I hired on, we got the Parker races, and so I've been coming here since 2004. So 2004 to 2020 was
So
quite a run.
I probably met you in 2004.
That's a good possibility. I was a lot behind the scenes, not downtown where you were.
Yeah.
It was more just out leg work and grunt work.
Because I've announced the race. I announced the race. Well, last year it was. Last 2 years we didn't, but I've announced it on the air from
Right.
start to finish. So that would have been 20-some years. I did that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we were standing side by side downtown as the car's going off, and you're interviewing there. Yeah, I remember that.
Hang on one second. Walter, the keys are right there on the desk for the trailer. All right? Hey, all right. Hey, take care. Good luck. Take care. All right. Walter is here because Take a Kid Fishing's is on Saturday, and I have our KLPZ trailer, and I told him
Oh,
to
cool.
take it so he could use it.
What a cool deal.
And I knew he was coming in today, so that works out. But anyway, so where were we at? Full-time gig. Casey's doing it full-time. It's starting to grow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just progressing,
Yeah.
and so from those years, 2013, we get so big, we bring on another guy to help us to kind of keep the momentum going because he's overloaded. Now I'm overloaded, so we need a helper, and kind of exploded there for 7-8 years.
And what'd you think? Were you thinking like, man, Casey, we're getting big?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
When you're getting 300 car count
yeah,
with the bikes, quads, cars, trucks, UTVs, we were instrumental in introducing the UTVs in 2005. First time a UTV raced off road. One of those rhinos. He made it 200 miles, broke 5 belts. Just crazy. They were called golf carts back then, and now they're like almost the fastest car on the road. They're like 5th fastest
insane.
car. Unbelievable
Insane.
what they can
Yeah,
do.
insane.
Yeah, to watch it grow and be kind of part of that has been pretty cool.
And just from my point of view, that because Baus is part of the Peace Trail right there,
Right.
and it's just taken off. I remember when Winter Visitors had 4-wheelers, right, or quads, you call them, right?
Yep.
And they were deluxing them out. They had a back for his wife and the arm things and all that. Now they're all in side by side. You don't see a 4-wheeler out there at all.
Right.
I'm waiting for the price to come down on those. There's got to be a bunch of used ones out there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
They've all moved into the
newer
side by
equipment,
sides. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, as soon as one gets cheap, I'm going to get it. Yeah, I'm just waiting for it. Some Winter Visitor probably from upstate Oregon or somewhere, who deluxed one out with his wife, and they moved into it, and it's just sitting there, and he goes, well, honey, I got $5,500 in parts in that thing, and it's not sound. Finally, he'll come down like $3,500 out. Say, hey, there it is. Got a steal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, the coolest thing about the UTV, not that it's not cool in off-road, but the best things that's happened for the people that want to get out, like the winter visitors, like you say,
Yes.
is that side-by-side. They can go explore the country that they grew
It
up
opened
in.
it. Opened it up.
Open the doors, you know. It's so cool to see those people out there being able to enjoy the
And it gave them a
country.
hobby. You know,
Right.
instead of just retiring and not be able to do something or just local stuff at the senior centers or whatever in that, hey, honey, we can go out in the desert
Right.
and go explore and not get beat up and feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, and now there's a group of you like the Arizona Peace Trail
Right,
and the Baus ATV
Right.
Ghost Rider Club. You
Yeah.
know, you're part of something, and you can
Yeah.
go exploring, like you
They
say,
do, man. It's way cool, man.
Yeah.
It is good. It's good for everybody.
for sure.
So, fast forward, and we get into a point that you're with Casey for 13 years.
17.
17 years.
Yeah, it was going on year 17.
17 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Now, where did you meet your wife?
Well, you're right. I'm sorry. 13 years with Casey is when he passed.
Right.
You're right.
So, where did you meet your wife?
So, I met her in Las Vegas, ironically. She was dating my best friend from high school, and I was up in Cali doing a ride.
So she wasn't from Caliente.
No, she was from another place where we actually live now called Logandale, which is about 50 miles to the north of Las Vegas.
Okay.
Along I-15 there, like you're going to Mesquite out of Las Vegas. She's a little small town there is where she's from.
Right.
So that was in 2005 we met, and we got married in 2006. But her best friend was dating my best friend. And she was like the third wheel tag along, right? So she told her friend, you got to tell him to get somebody to come hang out, And so I just happened to be up there working on an event, and my buddy's like, hey, you in town? Let's hang out. So that's how we kind of met.
And she's a dirt girl.
She wasn't.
Oh, she wasn't.
She rode a little bit of quads
Right.
growing up, but nothing like where I was.
Right.
And so I converted her. I got her to come to a race, and she got that dust in her veins, and she's
That's cool.
she's been here for the
From
long
a friend we met.
haul. Pretty much, yeah. But then we only lived like a mile apart in Las Vegas, so it was crazy how close she was. So
And so now and then you married.
Yep.
Dated a year and married.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty good.
Yep.
And then of course she became a volunteer.
Oh, full time. Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Full time volunteer and bagpacker and all kinds of stuff, schedule keeper, mom. She's got her plate full.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty good. And then Casey passes away.
2017
Yeah,
January.
I remember it very well. I mean, because I was doing the announcing and stuff and that. Wow, yeah, it was sad, huh? Yeah.
Probably one of the worst days of my life,
Yeah.
to be 100% honest.
Yeah, because he groomed you.
Well, not only that, but he wasn't a boss. He was
Yeah.
never my boss. He never treated me like a boss. He was my best friend. And, that day, people say all the time, I remember the worst day of my life, or
Right.
I remember every single detail when this happened,
Right.
and I do.
Yeah.
I do remember everything that kind of took place that day and how everything went down, and it was just a terrible deal. But
sad days, huh?
yeah.
And so, what do you do after the passing of Casey?
Well, there was a lot of, I would say, soul searching at that point.
Yeah.
What's the best thing to do? What do we do moving forward? Do we have a team moving forward? So there's a lot of inside stuff that took place to do what we thought was right, was carry out his dream,
Right.
fulfill his commitments. So, he had his medical episode at the Parker 250,
Right.
and 2.5 weeks later, he was committed to the Parker 425. And, at the time, we didn't know what was exactly going to happen. But the next day, we had a pre-run to do. We had a race to finish that day, first of all.
Right.
The bikes had just taken off and were doing their race when it happened. And so we had the quads out there, and then the UTVs were that afternoon. So we had to pull that race off. And then we had a fun run the next day for the 425. And we had to make sure that happened because that was his commitments.
Well, the event has to go on. Sad. I mean, just us.
Right. There's two ways to look at it. Is like this tragedy's happened, and so we're not moving forward, or this tragedy's happened and we're moving forward. And so when you're friends with a friend like that, and you know exactly what his wishes or dreams are, is that no matter what the event goes on, that's what you do.
You got to finish the mission.
Right.
That's what
Yep.
it is. Yeah.
Yep. And then to follow up 2.5 weeks later, without him at the Parker 425 was what a ordeal. It was looking back was a really cool experience because all the people that came together to make it happen.
Right.
But also it's just unimaginable him not being in an event, and
Right.
now you're moving forward.
Wow. So then at some point you decide that you have to go out on your own and with Liz and
My wife, Christy.
Yep.
Yeah. So we forged ahead there for 3 years, and it just came to a point where it was time to branch off and make our own trail. So
Yeah.
we launched Legacy Racing at kind of the end of 2020.
So what'd you say to the best in the desert? Hey, we're gonna branch out and do our own thing.
Yeah, there was lots more conversations, a lot more complicated at that point. But
I bet it is.
there was chances, not chances, but we tried to acquire it multiple times, and it just never came to fruition. So it came time for us to branch out on our own and kind of do our own thing and let them do their thing that they've been doing. It's good for them that they've been able to kind of plan their own trail, and we'll be able to plan our own trek as well.
And so when you decided that you were going to go ahead and do your own legacy, so that's a pretty big decision.
That's huge. It's massive.
Yes.
It's a massive undertaking.
And you're saying, but you've been around it long enough that, you have the experience. So that's what's a nice part about it.
Right.
But you still have to get it off the ground.
Yes, for sure. Get it off the ground, get it building a name, getting people to know who you are.
Right.
And
they knew who Donald Jackson was. I would think.
They did. Yep.
Yeah, I would think.
And they knew a lot of the team who they were,
Right.
So we had a lot of the team that was with us jump over and help us, and still helps there too. But a lot of the team is crossed over and helps us quite a bit. And to start building the groundwork, even though they knew who you are, you're a brand new company, so you have to start over fresh.
And so therefore, what was the first?
The very first race?
Yes.
The Desert Showdown in Pahrump 2021 was our very first race.
And so what exactly was that?
So it was a car truck UTV race.
Okay.
250-mile point-to-point race.
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of a rainy, wet day, the day that the event happened. It was in January, kind of signifying the same time that we lost Casey was when we put our first race on. And so it was a pretty cool deal. It was a pretty emotional deal.
And did you have a number in your head, a number of how many cars you would like to see?
Oh, we
show up?
We were hoping one car showed up. Like, that was the goals. Can we please get one car? We were pretty fortunate. We got around 80 vehicles that race. And so it was like, okay, well,
You're
started.
you were like, wow, this is a
Yeah.
bigger turnout than we anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, the number's never high enough for the cars you get 'cause
Right.
you always want more. But it was
Yeah.
like, wow, okay, this is gonna start.
I would think
going.
your first time out of the gate, 80 would be a pretty good feather in the cap.
Yeah. Yep. There's companies today that aren't even getting 80, and they've been
Yeah.
around for a long time. So,
Yeah.
right now we have 106 entered in the Parker Dam 500.
That's pretty good.
So
That's good.
and 41 of those are 6100 trucks, spec 6100 trucks,
What-
which is phenomenal.
Yeah, explain that to the listener just in
Okay,
case.
so yeah, we call it spec because it has a spec engine and a spec transmission. The rest of it is open, so they can run big tires and suspension stuff like that.
Now, a spec engine is that it has to meet certain specs.
Right,
But
right,
it's not stock.
correct.
It-
Well, no, it is stock. So
It
you
is
buy
stock.
it from GM. It's a crate engine from their performance,
Oh, okay.
or Ford. You can buy a Ford engine as
Right.
well, and so you bolt that in your truck. And there's
you
a
don't-
little modification
Okay.
because of the truck's setup. So like there might be like changing the oil pan or something to accommodate the
But you're not
suspension.
modifying the horsepower or nothing.
Nope. And you have to run stock electronics on it.
Okay, so that would be. Remember the IROC series when they used to race
Right.
the IROCs? All the cars had the spec engines and all
Right,
that. Yeah.
right. So it's very similar to that.
Okay, yeah.
So the motor and transmission package are basically the same, and then the suspension stuff is open. So it comes down to a kind of a driver's class,
right.
and it's gained a lot of traction. Like I said, there's 41 of them coming to Parker as of now.
Wow.
It keeps growing, so that's exciting.
And
There's-
it's an affordable class to run.
relatively speaking.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
off-road racing is very expensive
Right.
in general, but even though it is spec, it's probably about a $600,000 truck to build, and so it's not cheap by no means. There's a lot lower classes that are even spec that they're more budget friendly.
That's a pretty big budget.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if the listener out here is going, well, I don't have that, but maybe I want to get in there for $50,000 or $60,000. There's a spec company that's called Trophy Light, and the trucks are identical. They run the same tire, the same wheel, the same engine, the same everything is identical. So it just comes down to the driver. And
That's kind of cool in a way when you think about that.
oh yeah, yep. So you're not getting beat by dollars. You're getting beat by the best driver out there,
Right.
or you're beating everybody else because you are the best driver. So it's really
you got to
a
know
driver's
when to
class.
get on it, when not. Yeah.
When to conserve the truck because it can't just hit the big holes because
That's
it
right.
only takes so much.
I like
so
that. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a really affordable class,
Right.
Probably even more affordable than a side-by-side UTV class nowadays, just because they've gotten up there in price.
Yeah, I had Jim Beaver in here one day and we were talking
Oh, yeah.
about it. Yeah,
Yep.
it's
Parker
gone that
local.
way. It's gone that way too in UTVs.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Well, and Jim came from an unlimited truck,
Right.
and to a UTV to show you the progression of how good those are,
right. Yeah.
and so he's with Kawasaki, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So you had your first one in Pahrump.
Yep.
And you had 80 cars, and you're going. Did you turn to your wife and Liz and go, "Man, I think we're onto something here"?
Oh, for sure. It was like, okay, this is actually a dream that could potentially happen, And so it was a cool experience to have that very first one. There's a lot of people that came to the very first one that we hadn't seen in a long time, and just it was very, like I said earlier, a little bit emotional, but very commemorative to have that very first event and be like, okay, we're boots on the ground, we're moving.
And you go wind down, and you kind of high five, clean up everything, and then what do you go? Now what?
Oh, now what is the next one,
Yeah.
We went a little easy on our first year schedule just because working full time and everything and not knowing where it was going to go. So we had a little bit of a break until the Baja Nevada was the very, very next race that year. And that was, over 600 miles, another 2-day race. But
That's a long haul, man, in the
Yeah.
desert.
yeah, it was a major deal. to
Yeah.
overcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we knew we wanted to do something, not only our first race in Pahrump, but also the second race be really special, of a multi-day race where not a lot of people do those very often. So you race 300 miles roughly, spend the night, wake up the next day, and then continue the race. So it's like a nap, if you would, a layover in the middle of the night.
See, I fish tournaments, and I love 2-day tournaments or something.
Right.
Instead of one day. I do.
Because you can have a bad day on day one and
Yeah.
then turn around and have a good day on day
I
two.
love that. I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
So very similar,
Yeah.
And if you break down on day one, you could race day two, fix the truck. Because sometimes it's a 50-cent hose clamp that costs you, from being able to continue on that day. So you get the truck fixed and you can come back the next day.
That's good. So that one go pretty good then.
Oh yeah.
It turned out pretty good for you.
Yep. Same thing, about 80 vehicles, and just a lot of fun. And that one we had the bikes and quads there, so we got everybody to that race. So it was bike, quads, car, truck, UTV type event.
Now, where do they stay when they're there? Most of them camp?
Some camp, most stay in motels.
Yeah.
So that's the other challenge of the venues, is trying to go to a place there's enough accommodations to feed everybody, to house everybody, and to be able to have good in and out routes.
Because off-road racing, you hear the term a lot, but it really truly is kind of a family event.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, but it is.
It is,
and you
absolutely.
can see it. You can see it.
It's one of the few sports that we have of competitiveness that you will help your competitor any way you can to see them get along. If you got a spare part and they need it, you're going to loan it to them. It doesn't matter that you guys are racing against each other. Yeah, we want to see you finish. So here, borrow this. Just take down my phone number and hopefully you give it back to me or you pay me back for the part.
I think you nailed the nail on the head when you said it's just dirt in the vein. I think that's what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So many families have grown up through off-road racing, especially in Parker. You guys got such a long history here of famous drivers from here and just a lot of teams that have always raced out of here. And it's just a family-friendly type atmosphere.
Yeah. So now you've been doing it how many years, Legacy?
So Legacy launched in 2020. Our first race was 21. So this would be going on our fourth year, basically, of putting on events.
Wow. And it's going pretty good.
It's going good. I mean, we're back here in Parker, Arizona, so it can't be doing too bad if we get to come back to Parker. That's always been our goal.
How did that come about?
It's kind of an interesting story, but the permits became available in 2022 after that event.
How do you know when permits? I mean, I know it's your gig and that and stuff, but how do you know?
Well, it's like I say, it's kind of like your gig, so you follow along. It's just like the guy that goes to the auction knows when he's buying a good car or a bad car because he's done his research. So we just follow along of what's going on, and those permits were up for renewal, and they were accepting outside applications. So we applied, and that was always our goal. Once we left and we started our own company, we want to be back in Parker, Arizona.
Okay, so how do you apply? How do you apply for a permit? What does that take?
We'd have to do another hour show for me to explain that whole thing, but basically there's a major process.
Reader's Digest.
Yeah, right. Reader's Digest is there's an application you have to fill out. There's an operations plan you have to submit, a medical plan, all these things of exactly what your intentions are for the event to take place. And for this race out of the Havasu office for the Parker events, it was evaluated by the BLM of the top qualifiers that sent in their applications would be issued the 2 permits.
Wow.
So we got one of them.
Once you send it in, now it's a wait game to wait and see if you're going to get it.
Yep, but there was like a deadline of like March 31st, and then by April 15th we had our answer of who was coming.
Do they tell you that when the answer is going to happen, or do you just...
Yeah, they had a deadline for us of when they would respond back to us.
Oh, that's good, because if it would be just one of those things you're just waiting forever, it'd be a drag.
That was, and it's done a little bit different. You would think it's all the same, but it's not in the BLM offices. But this event's a little bit different. So there was actually a deadline of when we had to have stuff submitted and when get it back. Other offices are typically like 180 days. You have to have all your information in at least 180 days ahead of time. They like longer, so we try and do that. We're already submitting stuff for 2025. But that's kind of the whole process in a nutshell.
So what your phone rings on like and what was it, 15th or whatever it was, and asks, is this Donald? And you say, yeah, and then they say, I'm so and so from the BLM, and we're awarding you a permit.
Pretty much exactly how it went. They called the Legacy work phone because I work construction full time running heavy equipment. So
you work full time too.
Yeah. Yep. So I run equipment for VT Construction, and then I also run Legacy Racing.
Did you learn to run equipment through Casey? Is that how you got the construction job?
Basically, that's where I got my blade experience, was blading all the race courses and stuff, and then equipment along the way. And then I got a good friend, Sean Gilbert, who comes out and helps me build tracks and stuff like that. And so I got to play on the dozer and the front loaders and stuff. So kind of got well-rounded.
What are they running now? Are they running like D10s, D11s, or what size 8s? What are you guys running?
all of them you just listed.
Yeah.
So we have like 10 D8s. We
Yeah.
have a bunch of 11s. We got a bunch of 10s. 992 loader. I run that quite a bit.
990. That's a nice loader.
Yeah. Big loader,
Very-
too.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know it because I was in the mines. Right?
Yep,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Wow.
all kinds of blades, like 15 different blades from the
Yeah.
140s all the way up to the 16s.
Yeah. That's some nice blades now. You're
Yes.
running right.
Yeah, it's you definitely get spoiled a lot more as an operator with these new equipment.
Yeah. And he must be a pretty big outfit.
Yep, we have 220 pieces of machinery, so
That's an outfit.
yep, we do some pretty big jobs.
Yeah. Wow. Cool beans, man. They run any scrapers?
Yep, scrapers,
37s?
757s, so
they
the
run
dual engines.
Oh, they run. Well, yeah, 57s.
Yeah.
I didn't think they'd be running those. I thought the mines would run those because you got. Well, yeah. Because
Yeah.
that's what we ran, 57s.
Yeah,
But
well,
I figured.
we're doing some big jobs, so we got quite a few of those 57s because we just did a job that was 4 million yards
Oh yeah.
of dirt. So just north of Vegas there on the left of the speedway, we did all those big industrial buildings there. So we use those because they got the dual engines. It makes it a lot better.
Yeah. And so they doing a push pull or they just did.
Typically push pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's more effective.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Way cool, man.
So
Is
that's
that-
a lot of
yeah.
fun experience gaining
Yeah.
there, and it just every piece of equipment I feel like you run, you become better on each other piece of equipment
Yeah.
every time you get back onto it. So
Way cool. So you're working full time and then doing this. So you got you got a schedule.
yeah.
And you got to have a boss that kind of cuts you a little slack.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're very good to me because, like I said, I'll be gone for 3 weeks here,
That's-
and I have a place to go back to work when I get back. So that's
way
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So you're down here for 3 weeks. You got the Parker permit. They called you. So what do you do when you get the call? What you're like kind of calm and cool on the phone, and then what?
Oh, as soon as you hang up the phone, you're jumping and screaming and all over the place like a rock star, right?
Yeah.
And texting everybody, holy crap, we got the Parker permit. And then the ball starts rolling from there, putting all the logistics
And
together.
then you're
happen.
like, oh crap! Now we got to really, really settle in and get this going here.
Yeah, on top of all the other venture doing and
Yeah.
all the stuff
Yeah.
too. So
Wow, good for you.
yeah, so we're super pumped to be back
Yeah.
here. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, our goal when we launched Legacy is one day to be back in Parker, and it took a little while, but year 4 we're here.
Excellent. Good for you guys. Good for you. So the race is going to be on the end of this month, with the exact
End of
date,
February.
the 21st to the 25th. How'd you come up with that date?
So there was in the permitting process, you have to submit some dates of when it's available. This permit has a certain window of when you can use it and can't use it, and so we had to fall within those dates. So we came up with the end of the end of February being our best option for this race, based on everything that we were seeing and the time frames we were allotted.
So when you got the permit and you got the dates, how do you get your word out? I mean, through just your Facebook? Is that all you
Yeah, well, that's way above my pay grade. I don't know nothing about social media.
Yeah.
That's definitely above my pay grade. But yeah, our social media outlets, our website, word of mouth, posters, stuff like that you're going to be seeing all over the Parker area.
You got to get people. You got to get people to register you ahead of time. You want
Right.
as many cars as you can. So,
Yeah.
So and they're probably following now.
Yeah,
right?
there's definitely a following there. They get all of our emails and all of our posts and,
and
stuff like
so then they're probably stoked that you're in Parker. The race,
Oh, absolutely.
the racer.
Yeah.
It's probably going, yeah, man, we want to race Parker.
that. Yep,
I mean, there's a history there.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
So-
When you've been coming here for almost 20 years and,
Right.
and not come here for 3 years, it's like, whoa, wow. So
Yeah.
it's cool to be back, and the community here has been so supportive. Everybody around the Parker area has just been awesome.
Yeah, it really is an off-road community. When I first moved here 30 years ago, I didn't know anything about off-road, anything. And that's first guy I meet is like Iron Man Stewart.
Wow, that's
I
awesome.
have him in the studio talking, and I know nothing.
Nothing about this guy. Wow.
Or dirt racing, nothing, that I could relate to.
Right.
And he must have thought, "God, what a yahoo I'm talking to," This Stewart the Iron Man, I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about him or anything, yeah.
Wow.
And then I met Kurt Leduc.
Yep, another icon in our sport.
and
What
he
a cool
took
dude.
me out in his pre-runner.
Oh wow, you got to experience that. That's awesome.
That kind of opened everything up with me. We
Right.
did a 40-mile, 50-mile loop or something. Yeah.
And so you got that dirt in your veins, and now you've been hooked.
Well, I don't have it in my veins, but I tell you what, this is what I learned, and I've said this 100 times. If you think you watch it and you can do it, you can't do it like them.
Yeah, they're talented people.
That's
that you
right.
just brought up. Yeah,
That's the one thing that I picked up on. These guys have a skill.
right.
I mean, a real skill. So yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just driving your pickup truck around the parking lot out here. It's a talent that you have to acquire.
I'll never forget about it when he ran. And we were running down by Blue Water. Then that's when we went down on the front there, and then we turned up the wash and I can't whatever
Up Osborne Wash.
Osborne Wash, and we turned, and he leaned over on me like this, and we're all strapped in, man. I mean, this thing's a running rig, you know, and he has a little screen there, and he says to me, yeah, I see this coming up here. It's about a 4-foot drop. So I'm thinking 4-foot drop. We're probably gonna break. Boom! He punches
Just
it.
jumps right off it.
We come to this corner. It's like a dead end corner. You can only go like right. And I'm thinking again to myself, oh, he's going to break here. He punches it and we just scoot around it. And I thought, okay, these guys really know how to race.
Yep, they know how to drive for sure.
Yeah. And as we're looking at this and he goes, you see right now we're doing about 60, 65 we're running. He goes, tomorrow I should be hitting this about 93. So
Yeah.
he says to me.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so I'll never forget that ride. That was probably the best ride I had in a long time. Ever. In dirt. That was it. So, where were we at? Okay, so you're back here. We got the race going on, and you set up the course, and everything's a go now.
Yeah, we're getting ready to set up the course. We're going to be starting work here next week. So we'll be coming down on the 17th. We'll be here through the duration of the race.
Now, do you
so
go?
the 25th.
Are you going to go back home a couple times now that you're down here?
I'll go home tomorrow,
Yeah.
and then when I come back down on the 17th, I'll be here till the event's done and cleaned up and everything. So
That's a long time to be down here. Then.
yeah, be here through March.
Yeah. Wow. Good for you. Good luck on this.
Yeah, so it's
Well,
exciting.
I think it's going to fly. Like you said, you got like over 100 cars already.
Yeah, like we have 72 vehicles qualifying, which is going to be Wednesday, the
Yeah,
21st.
Why don't you go ahead and run through the schedule, man?
Yeah, so Parker Dam 500 coming up here February, like you said, 21st to the 25th. We got qualifying on the 21st, which is going to be out there by the Parker Python area, and that's from 12:30 to roughly 5. By the time we get everybody finished, there's going to be about 70, 75 vehicles doing that as of right now, so that's a pretty good turnout.
That's a lot of vehicles.
And it's not required, but it's just to set the pole for the top start
Right.
position
Right.
for the fastest guys to be able to start out front. And then Thursday, the 22nd, we do our pre-run. So we're going to give the guys a chance, guys, gals, family, everybody to go see the route. So they're going to do the whole 126-mile loop, start to finish.
So who do you get for like that? I mean, what kind of do you get? Just like guys who have they're not their race rigs. Do they take their race rigs and
Some will take their race rigs. Some have their pre-runners
Right.
are sometimes nicer than their race rigs.
Yeah.
To go out there and run the route. A lot of people in the UTV side by sides. We're not having any bikes and quads, but a lot of the side by sides probably.
Right.
And so again, that's a chance for them to see the route, make their race notes, and be prepared for race day on Saturday. Then Friday we're downtown Parker, right down here by the Ford dealership, doing the downtown experience. Come see the vendors, the race trucks, type of that, all those types of vehicles. That's from 9 to 5, and then the drivers' meetings at 6 at the Blue Water Casino. And then race Saturday. Saturday super early in the morning. The first vehicle's off the line at 5:30 in the morning. So in the dark.
Oh, it is in the dark.
Yeah. With it being, most cars running 3 laps, they're going to be close to the 400-mile range.
Yeah.
And so we got to be able to give them enough time to do their race before the afternoon race starts with the big cars, trucks, and those guys also, will go into the dark by the time they finish.
Yeah.
So
For these guys though, I got to tell you, they light it up. They don't mind it. I was talking to Jim. He said that night racing's nothing because they light it up good. They light that desert up pretty good.
they got tons of lights on the
Yeah.
vehicle, so they can see really
That's
well.
what he was telling me.
Yeah. So we kind of think the first finisher of the morning race will finish around 12:30.
Oh yeah.
And then the afternoon race, what we're calling it, starts at 1:30. and then those guys will finish probably around 8:30 at night. And start finishes out on Shea Road, so a little different. We really want to start downtown again, and maybe that's in the cards in the future, but this year it didn't work out, so we'll start out on Shea Road, the old score start finish up there by the spectate areas. And yeah, it should be a good time. Spectating, that's been a big thing people have been talking about, spectators. It's 100% free. Come out and watch. You can go out on Shea Road. There's a lot of spots out on Shea Road to watch. There's down in Bouse. You got the Bouse Y and then the upper Bouse. So the Bouse Y, there's no camping for overnight, so that's just a day use, let's call it, for Bouse. At the Bouse Y, it's just a day use area, but the upper Bouse, you can go and camp. So it'll be a lot of fun. We anticipate seeing a lot of spectators out there. And again, it's 100% free. So bring the family out, and we're not going to charge you for it.
Bouse, I know the Bouse residents. They like the race. They go out. They like to go out and watch it. They do.
Yeah, there's nobody in town.
Creates a buzz.
For sure. Yeah. And a lot of them are helping. The Bouse Ghost Riders have jumped in. They're going to be helping with just the management of it to make sure people are going where they're supposed to, helping out with directions, stuff like that. So it's cool to get the community involved like that. Some of the Arizona Peace Trails guys are going to come out and help out too. So it's cool. And then we got quite a few volunteers from the area helping out with the race to make sure that they keep all the participants safe. And it's, like I say, Parker area, you Havasu, Bouse, Quartzsite, all that stuff. Just super supportive of this type of event. La Paz County, they always have been great to work with, and all the communities involved, sheriff's office, that type of stuff.
Well, I think all in all, welcome back, and have huge success with this.
Yeah, we're super excited to be back here in Parker. We hope we can deliver an event like we know how and like the Parker community expects. High quality professional event, lots of cars coming out to watch and spectate. So bring the whole families out, and we'd love to see you on either downtown on Friday or see out there on Saturday at the race.
Do you want to give a shout out to anybody before we roll?
Obviously I kind of mentioned it, but the community itself, the Parker area. Parker Chamber's been phenomenal working with us. Crit Tribes for all their support for our events. Parker PD, La Paz County Sheriff, Public Works. This event can't happen with all those entities involved. Just huge, all the support that we get. Obviously all the racers, the fans, it's great putting on a race, but if no racers show up, what's the point? It's awesome to have the fans out supporting because, you don't think about it, but the racers really get a vibe off of you. It's just like any other sports venue. When they see people cheering them on, man, it just pumps them up and makes them want to do better and to finish. So it's huge having all the fans and all the support.
Excellent. Thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, thanks for, I really do. I mean, it was nice and showed up early. Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah, if you're 5 minutes early, you're already late. So
that was good.
Come early.
And Donald says to me, goes, okay, now, hey, it's going to be my first one out of the gate like this on the radio. And I said, don't worry about it. I've done a couple of these.
Yeah.
How do you think it went?
No, it went good. Lots of good info out there. You didn't tie me up and beat me up too bad, so that's good.
You feel comfortable with it?
For sure.
How long do you think we were talking?
22 minutes.
Over an hour.
Over an hour. Holy moly.
Over an hour.
Wow. Well, hopefully the listeners enjoyed it, and I'm sure they'd rather listen to Uncle Jackson, Uncle Alan there, but hopefully they've had fun. It's cool to cover a lot of different topics, and I appreciate you guys having us come on the air.
All right, don't be a stranger. Thanks.